Have you ever been told something so quietly that it lands like a thunderclap? Dak Prescott found out about one of the loudest roster moves of the offseason the hard way. Not in a meeting, not in a text, but in the sticky, uncomfortable air of headlines and questions that wouldn't stop. He didn't think Micah Parsons would be traded. He wasn't shocked that things blew up. He was shocked by how quickly the conversations turned from contract jargon into something that felt personal. Think about that image for a second. A quarterback who's been through the contract ringer himself, who knows what late night calls and tense negotiations feel like, sitting across reporters and parsing what he actually knows versus what the microphones keep asking him. Dak's words weren't dramatic. He said what a lot of teammates would say in private. Negotiations got personal on their ends. That phrasing, on their ends, is a quietly loaded way of admitting that pride and principle were mixed in with dollars and deadlines. He admitted he didn't have a front row seat to every phone call. That matters. It's a reminder that even in teams that feel intimate, there are parts players just don't see. The boardroom bargaining, the owner's instincts, the agent's calls at 2 a.m. What Dak did see and what he answered to was the noise, and he understood the value of an end to the noise, even if it meant losing a star. He said he was glad there was a solution because the alternative was weeks of "is he playing" questions that would have eaten the team alive with distraction. There's tenderness in that admission. Dak knows what it's like to be the story. He signed a massive extension in 2024, 4 years, $240 million. But he also remembers the summer on the franchise tag the year before, the waiting room feeling of uncertainty. That experience gives him a rare kind of sympathy for a teammate caught in an ugly stall. He told reporters he'd wished Micah luck and that they had exchanged messages after the trade. That small human exchange is the pulse beneath the headlines. Two professionals acknowledging a fracturing relationship and, in private, still wishing the other well. Let's not pretend this is just locker room sentimentality. There's steel under the softness. Dak's analysis is practical. If the standoff had continued, it would have become a recurring distraction. Football seasons aren't won by philosophical purity. They're won by focus. The constant questioning about whether a player is going to suit up becomes a fog that blankets preparation. For quarterbacks especially, rhythm and predictability mean everything. Dak called the trade a resolution. Messy, unsatisfying in the way trades usually are, but a resolution nonetheless. Here's where the plot thickens. The Cowboys didn't lose value in the air. They turned an immediate explosive talent into 2 future first-round picks and Kenny Clark, a grizzled veteran who brings voice and presence inside. That's not a surrender. It's a strategic pivot. It's a team saying, we could try to win this exact moment, or we could buy options to build a championship window that lasts. Dak sees both sides of that ledger because he knows what it costs to carry a roster through turbulence and what it takes to steady a franchise for years. There's also the awkward poetry of timing. Dak's own contract saga came on game day. It was public and messy, and he lived through the media cycle that follows a high-stakes negotiation. So when he watches Parsons' story unfold, there's empathy and a little bit of recognition. These things get personal, not because people want them to, but because when identity and money collide, feelings show up. That's human. Sports often dresses up business decisions in dramatic clothing, but at the center of it are people who lose sleep and people who get relief. Dak put that relief into words when he said he was happy the months-long tension had been resolved one way or another. Read that sentence again. Happy the tension was over, not happy with every choice made. That's the nuance. A team can be both disappointed to lose a teammate and relieved to regain a working rhythm. That's not hypocrisy. That's leadership. It's the calculus of a locker room captain who knows distraction can kill a season. And leadership matters when Week 4 tips off in Arlington. That night will feel like a second act in this story. Micah in a new uniform, Dak under center, the camera's hungry for revenge narratives and moral victory. But Dak, who through the kind of media storms these games create, keeps the language sober. He acknowledges the emotional heat, but keeps the focus narrow. The team needs to prepare to execute, to win. Narrative fireworks are for the cameras. Sundays are for doing the work. There's a softer image I keep returning to. Two professionals exchanging messages after an ugly public split. It's not a reconciliation, it's a human moment. It's two men who share time in the trenches saying, in essence, I hope you do well. Those micro moments, the brief text, the half-sincere good luck, are the stitches that keep football from becoming purely transactional. Fans will decide who they like and who they don't. Analysts will grade the trade packages and argue about value. But inside locker rooms, those private lines matter more than hot takes. If you want the takeaway to drop into your group chat, this wasn't just a personnel move. It was a social recalibration. It cleared a fog the team was walking through and forced everyone to pick a direction. Dallas chose options and continuity. Green Bay chose an instant, seismic upgrade. Dak sits in the middle of that crossroad with a quarterback's clarity. He knows what motion does to a play, and he knows what distraction does to a season. So when people ask whether Dak was surprised, his answer is honest and useful. He wasn't expecting the trade to land with Green Bay, but he wasn't surprised the situation fractured. That's not resignation, it's realism. And when he says he wished Micah good luck, that's not sentimentality. It's leadership in its quietest form, the kind that says the team comes first, even if feelings get bruised along the way. At the end of the day, football is as much about managing human weather as it is about X's and O's. Contracts blow up, loyalties shift, and headlines scream, but teams that survive are the ones whose leaders keep returning the group to a single small truth. We play the next snap. Dak understands that. He's lived the waiting room, felt the relief of resolution, and now, more than anything, he wants a team that can focus on the work that wins games. When the crowd roars in week 4, it will be louder for the people who stayed in the room and did the tedious part. Showed up. 3 days after Micah Parsons was traded to Green Bay, Dak Prescott broke his silence, and he sounded equal parts relieved and unsurprised. I definitely didn't think he was going to get traded, Prescott told reporters, but just with the way their negotiations went down, obviously to some extent, it seemed like it got personal on their ends, so that's why I wasn't surprised. He made clear he was answering based on questions from the media, not inside knowledge, but the message was plain. Months of tension between Parsons and Jerry Jones had reached a boiling point. Prescott framed the trade as an end to a distraction. If nothing had been done, we'd sit here and y'all still would have been asking me whether he was playing in a couple days or when he was going to be playing. That would have been a lot more of a headache and distraction than getting a solution to it, he said. He also noted a personal connection. The two exchanged messages after the deal, and Prescott wished Parsons good luck. Context matters. Prescott himself knows the grind of contract talks. He inked a massive extension in 2024 after a tense offseason, so he understands how negotiations can sour relationships. Dallas sent Parsons to Green Bay for 2 first-round picks and 3-time Pro Bowl DT Kenny Clark, a haul that reshapes the roster and the NFC landscape. Now the focus shifts to football. The two teams meet in Week 4 on Sunday Night Football, a matchup that will serve as an early scoreboard for whether Dallas made the right move and how Parsons responds in a new uniform. What do you think? Did the Cowboys handle this the right way, or did they give up too much to end the distraction? Drop your take below.